What is happening, people? I have no idea why I'm starting this intro like this. Welcome to another episode of A Side of Popcorn, but this one's a different one. Not so much. Maybe it is. It's Superman 2, the Richard Donner cut with a side of popcorn. That is Rose,
Hi.
the popcorn aficionado here on this podcast because I can't eat popcorn.
Popcorn is tasty.
Popcorn is tasty. And I'm John, the one who can't really eat popcorn but suffers through it because that's part of the bit.
And it's tasty.
And it's tasty. So one bonus episode we really need to do, we need to just like rank popcorn.
Yes.
Like the flavors of popcorn, we really just need to in between episodes or in between seasons.
There's going to be a lot of nasty popcorn.
We're going to eat a lot of nasty popcorn, but I think that'd be really fun where we just rank
that would be fun.
all the different popcorns and see what is the superior popcorn when it comes to this is the official side of popcorn.
There we go.
Officially.
The officially.
The officially side of popcorn.
Officially official?
Officially official side of popcorn.
Yes.
But we'll do that some other time when we feel like it, and we'll let everyone know. Let's talk the Richard Donner cut of Superman 2. But before that, Chris, how you doing?
I'm doing pretty good. How are you?
I'm doing great. I'm having a great time. Sorry, something just said click here to update. I'm updating my computer right now. So I don't know what just happened.
That's always fun.
I'm good. I like talking movies.
Yes.
I semi-like popcorn. And
when you have to.
When I have to eat popcorn. And we're here. And so, like with this season, we're doing all the Superman movies.
Yes.
For the most part. We're skipping Man of Steel. We have a plan for that one.
Yeah.
But this season, or this episode, we're doing the Donner cut.
Yes. So we rewatched Superman 2. But it was a different experience.
It was a completely different experience going into this one. We couldn't remember. I didn't remember much of the Donner cut.
Yeah, we've only watched the Donner cut once before, and it was years ago.
So,
I remembered the end.
God, you did? I didn't even remember the end.
I remembered the end because I remembered having a conversation about that end was supposed to be in 2 and not 1.
Oh, God. Yeah.
That's how I knew that.
Jesus
That's
Christ.
why I was complaining when we watched Superman 1.
Yeah. Wow. You know what? Kudos to you. I do not. I remember more of. Oh, my God. She's done.
Sorry.
I remember more of the theatrical cut of 2 than the Richard Donner cut. And so it was fascinating watching this movie and trying to figure out which one I liked better. And there is a definite. It didn't take much. Unfortunately, Superman's trying to kill Rose right now.
I guess.
Talking about it.
I don't know.
Wait, let's just kind of talk about it. The feelings of the Donner cut and how it's almost a different movie, but not. It is a very weird amalgamation.
Yeah. It's one of those that is better paced. Right from the beginning, you get this pacing of the movie. And I know that we were complaining about this when we watched the theatrical cut.
Yeah.
We were complaining about the pacing being weird, everything just being a little bit off. It was nothing but slapstick. And this movie was the exact opposite.
Yeah.
It's the same overall story, but told in a different way.
You know what? Yes, and I think I figured out why it's so weird to me because that's 100%. It is almost beat for beat. The main story points are exactly the same.
Yeah.
So doing this podcast is going to be kind of weird because you can just watch the Superman with Superman 2 inside of popcorn. You kind of get the idea, but with the big changes of the pacing, the less slapstickiness.
You have Superman's dad instead of his mom.
Yeah, exactly. You have Jor-El instead of
Lara.
Yeah, Kara is Supergirl.
Yes.
Lara. Yes.
Lara.
I was like, wait, that's not right. But yeah, no, you're correct. And those little injections in this movie completely change the tone.
Yeah.
Make it more serious. And make it a better movie.
Yeah.
like hands down a better freaking movie. And sure, there's a couple things in the theatrical cut that I think is better.
Yeah.
Like, but
I did kind of miss Non.
Yeah, and so like, okay, let's go with like what did we miss from the theatrical cut? Like
without spoilers?
Without spoilers,
without
like
too many spoilers.
Too many spoilers, but yeah,
the movie's 40 years old.
Yeah, the movie's 40 years old. I guess I didn't
45?
really do I didn't really do the normal spiel I've been doing with the other two episodes where we kind of read the synopsis, but it's just Superman 2, so it's kind of like it's not really worth us kind of going through that rigmarole again in a weird way. I don't know.
Why would you rob the people?
Okay, all right. I guess you know what? Before we're already in it, but let me go ahead and do this. Pulling for Wikipedia, we'll do it that way. Superman 2: The Richard Donner Cut, titled on screen as simply Superman 2, is a 2006 re-edited director's cut of the 1980 superhero film Superman 2. It is the sequel to Richard Donner's 1978 Superman, based off the DC comic superhero of the same name. It stars Gene Hackman, Christopher Reeve, and Marlon Brando. The alternate cut was edited by Michael Thau and was overseen and completed by Donner himself. It features a significant amount of discarded footage, alternate takes, and story elements not featured in the theatrical version. I mean, real fast. It was in 1979, after the tense 19-month long shoot of Superman and a significant portion of Superman 2, Alexander Skalkin, hopefully I said that right, who bought the film's rights to the character, removed Donner from the production on its sequel and replaced him with director Richard Lester. Lester completed the remainder of the film for its theatrical release, but also rewrote and reshot a substantial portion of Donner's footage in order to receive the director's credit, which is 50% according to the Directors Guild.
Yes.
While the sequel it was a critical and financial success upon release, interest in Donner's cut of Superman 2 became well known after a community of online fans began petitioning for Warner Brothers Pictures to release Donner's version. After Marlon Brando's death in 2004, oh my God, his family's estate allowed Warner Brothers to feature archive footage of the late actor in the 2006 film Superman Returns, thus granting the studio permission to restore Donner's version of Superman 2. Okay. Since Donner never completed Superman 2 in the original form, certain key scenes filmed by Lester, along with newly created visual effects shot, an early screen test of one pivotal scene featuring Reeve and Margot Kidder, had to be added into the film in order to create a complete work. That's Superman 2, condensed down, and you're just like, how did all of that get cut? And it was a better movie. Again, we were talking about if you subscribe or get the tier 2 membership. Movies die.
We haven't explained this. If you get the tier 2 membership on the YouTube channel, then you will also be able to see our watch along of the movie. So that way you can see our reactions in real time. We don't show the actual movie because that is against YouTube regulations.
It's all regulations.
And we want to keep our channel. But we tell you when we hit play, and we'll have some key moments that pop up on screen. That way you can kind of see where we are in the movie.
Yeah.
So it's kind of a 2-screen or at least split screen experience for you.
2-screen, yeah. But we were saying in the watch along, movies live and die on the edit room.
Yes.
Stories die in the edit room.
Yeah.
And
I honestly cannot wait to do a season of theatrical versus director's cut movies.
Yeah.
We're not going to do this one again, but there are plenty of movies that we can do that with.
Yeah. And like those movies, I'm hoping those movies we were talking about, there's a couple that we know dramatically change.
Yeah. Just with little bits that are added or the resequencing of the film.
Yeah. And this is one of those movies that I'm like, oh my God, we really lost the plot.
Yeah. There were changes in the music. There were scenes that were just a little bit shorter, which made them better.
Yeah.
There was little things like from the very beginning, Lois looks more credible.
Yeah. That was the craziest part is the scenes that they re-edited, shortened, and I don't want to say reframe, but grabbed what Donner directed, made Lois a better character.
Yeah.
She wasn't a weird floozy. I don't know if floozy is the right word, but just
floozy, not trollop, but
like a love-struck puppy. Ditz. She
came off as a ditz in the theatrical version. And one thing that I read as we've been looking up this movie, the theatrical versus director's release cut, is the theatrical version is a big part of why she will not be in, or she was not in Superman 3 very much.
Yeah.
She refused to do anything more than a cameo.
Crazy.
And I'm just there like, I get it.
Yeah,
they didn't paint her in a very good light.
And she's supposed to be one of the best reporters in the world.
Yeah.
In one
Pulitzer Prize winning.
In one, she had that.
Yeah.
In the theatrical of 2, she didn't. In the Donner cut, she did.
Yeah.
And I liked her presence so much more than just a ditz. God, that is such the right word.
Yeah.
It's fascinating now. We just watched it and it's like, wow, there's so much, like you're saying, the sequences are different or completely cut. New ones that Donner directed are in there and they make so much more sense.
Yeah.
And how closely related and an actual direct sequel this is of Superman 1.
Yeah.
Like there actually are plot lines that carry through.
And as I remember how this one goes into, what's the next one? Man of Steel?
Superman Returns.
Yeah, this one just slides into Superman Returns.
Yeah, there are different things that happen in this one that make Superman Returns go, oh, yeah, that makes more sense now. And you're like, okay, I get it. So it's just fascinating. This was actually one of a fun watch because you're just like, I just watched this movie a week ago or something.
But I didn't watch this movie.
I did not watch this movie. And I'm like, they're the same movie. But again, just the slight differences, different sequences, different shots.
The different music.
Having John Williams' music in there, just prominently in there, John Williams is flagged down, just like this is a John Williams movie, orchestrated movie or conducted movie, however you.
And like even at the very beginning where they had a recap of the first movie, this
much better.
The Richard Donner cut just gives you some of the basic scenes so that you can remember what was going on without spelling out the entire story again. The theatrical cut was 15 minutes.
It was something weird. I don't think it was 15. I think it was like 7 or 10.
Yeah.
But it felt like
I remember us calling it out.
Yeah. And then when you really think about it, had nothing to do with the movie almost.
No.
Like they really could have showed the Zod and Ursa and Non part. And that's all they really needed.
Yeah. They didn't need to show the rest of the story.
No.
In the Donner cut, you actually need to know what happened at the end of Superman 1.
Superman 1. Yeah, it's just it's one of those movies that I'm just like, wow, we really like I get that tensions grew. I get that Donner didn't want a slapstick comedy.
Yeah.
That the producers Skalkin, again, if I mispronounce that, I apologize. They wanted a lighter hearted movie. They wanted a little more comic booky, quote unquote, if you will. And I get that. This is literally what happened with TMNT. Like the first one was very dark and like they had their weapons
dark and gritty.
And it was the comics and it was freaking awesome.
Yeah.
Secret of the Use, they don't use their weapons at all through the whole movie. Like the closest I think you get, is Michelangelo with sausages that are wrapped as nunchucks, and he pulls them down and he starts doing a nunchuck routine. But I think that's the closest you truly get.
Yeah.
I can't wait to watch all the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle movies. I'm really excited for that.
Yeah.
But okay, all right. I think we're both on the same page that we liked this movie a lot more.
Yes,
we did. Let's go ahead and give it our rating.
Okay.
Let's give it our rating. And let's talk about why we're giving it that rating.
Okay, let's review the rating scale real fast.
Yes.
Do you want to start at the top or the bottom?
We always start from we start from the bottom, work our way up.
Okay, so if it's a 1, it is actively harmful to society.
2 is toxic or dreadful,
3 is awful.
4 is bad.
5 is meh, or you're indifferent.
6 is okay or fine.
7 is good.
8, great, a bona fide good time.
9 is amazing, fantastic, or brilliant.
And 10 is a masterpiece or a shining star for society.
So, John.
I'm trying to remember what I gave Superman 2 the theatrical
it was
cut.
Bad. I remember it was bad.
I think I gave it like a 4.5 or 5.
We need to start noting these down.
We really should need to. We need to start noting these down so we have this.
Yeah.
So for us later, we put it in our notion.
Yeah.
It was anywhere between a 6 and a 4 and a 6. I want to say I hit about 5.5.
Yeah. I think I was below a 5.
I think you were too. I think you hit a 4, but I don't really
4 or
remember.
4.5. What would you rate the Donner cut?
Dog, this is a 9.5. Dog, I'm not even joking. I liked this movie better than the original Superman. I loved everything about this movie. I loved the pacing. I loved the comedy, the little injections of comedy that, okay, we need to laugh here. I loved Gene Hackman being a little more on the comical side, just going back and forth with Otis and that actor. I just blanked out on his name. I love just the little hints of comedy. Like that. This was, I'm not going to say a masterclass of comedy. We're going to watch a masterclass of comedy, but taking Donner wanted a very serious, not a very serious, but just a serious movie, serious action movie. Donner knows how to do action movies. We know this. And then he just sprinkled in the comedy just to lighten it.
What else has he done?
Oh, Superman 1. Oh crap. God damn it. Of course you put
Sorry. Keep talking about the movie. I'll find out.
Okay. And just and I like just little bits of these comedy hits that I'm just like, that was great. A nice little touch to make sure we're not. It's not Zack Snyder doom and gloom. Lethal Weapon. Thank you.
He did the Goonies. Lethal Weapon movies.
Yeah.
Goonies.
Like Richard Donner is peak.
Oh, he did The Omen.
Oh damn. Actually, God, it's been so long since I watched that one. So like, there was all these little things. Bringing back John Williams' score.
Yeah.
And like and doing that one, which was amazing. And just the little hints, not the little hints, but just the resequences, like we said, or the new sequences altogether.
Yeah. The new scenes that were there.
And just all of the stuff, it made this movie feel complete.
Yeah.
And the story continued from Superman.
Yeah.
And there's something I truly like about that there's little paths, little storylines. It doesn't have to be a big storyline. Little storylines that go from A to B from one movie to another movie. And I always like those. This one obviously had a bigger storyline.
Yes.
Plot point from 1 that made 2 make more sense.
Yeah.
In my opinion. But 9.5. 100%. This I love this movie.
Sure.
Give it to me. Lay us down.
For me, it's an 8. I thought it was great.
Talk to me.
I thought that it was great. I think that there are, like you said, so many things that have been improved upon. I think that, again, the pacing, everything that we've been talking about, what keeps it from being a 9 higher than an 8 for me is still some of the decisions, the character decisions. Okay. So it's more story based, which we'll get into here in a little bit with spoilers.
Okay.
But some of the decisions were still a little bit not great to me.
Okay.
But yeah, it's more late movie stuff.
Okay, that's fair. I will 100%. I think I know where you're going with that one. And yeah, you are right. I mean, it's opinion. We're talking about movies and we have our opinion, so it doesn't really matter. But yeah, I see where you're coming with that one because there are some story beats or some characters that I'm just kind of like, all right.
Yeah.
All right. Really? All right. But I don't know why that I don't know if you guys could hear that. I actually squeaked. I was trying to say something. My throat just stopped and I was like, oh no, I can't talk for a second. It just squeaked on me.
Okay.
It's just, again, I find this fascinating. This is actually why I love movies.
Yes.
Because you hear it all the time when it comes to like directors, writers, and producers, actors, like, oh no, I signed on for this movie. Yeah. That's not the movie I signed on for that I finished.
Yeah.
And it's heartbreaking to hear that, whether it is production woes or money woes or anything like that, or some exec who doesn't know anything overseeing everything and starts cutting shit out. And it's heartbreaking. And then when it does happen, where we do get these actual director's cuts that the director gets to give their vision, it's always fascinating to see, like, where do we fall on that of, oh no, the directors are right, we all need to shut the hell up and let them cook. Or, ooh, oh, maybe you got a little too big for your britches right there, and like, maybe that theatrical version was actually better, and we didn't have to really do that. Because thinking about this, there's also these weird balances too. Because American Pie has a director's cut.
Oh, I forgot about that.
Yeah, or maybe it might be the unrated cut. And there's just so much more nudity, and it actually takes away from American Pie. I will be honest, like, I love American Pie. It probably does not stand up. It's probably very sexist now. It probably always was.
Yes.
But I was like,
I'm not gonna lie. You said American Pie, my brain went American Beauty. Very different movie. Very different movie.
Oh shit!
But the nudity still fit with both.
The nudity still fits there. Yeah, you're 100% correct. That's funny as hell, actually. Those are two very different movies.
You said American Pie, my brain immediately went Kevin Spacey, and then I'm like, nope, that's the wrong one.
Kevin Spacey's an awful human being. We're putting that out there right now. Kevin Spacey is an awful human being, so get ready for us saying that again during Superman Returns, since he's Lex. Awful human being.
Forgot about that.
Yep. But yeah, like, if you put too much into it, like American Pie with the nudity and I think there were more sequences, or they pushed the sequences a little far, and it doesn't do what we're talking about, where you cut it just a little early, or you do just a little change in this, or add some music to help with that pacing, And so, like, I can't wait for the theatrical versus director's cut season of A Side of Popcorn. It's gonna be fun times.
So with that being said, should we start getting into spoilers?
Spoilers, quote unquote, for an old movie.
For an old movie. If you haven't watched it yet and you want to watch it, if we have convinced you, then pause this, come back to it after you've watched the movie.
Yes. Okay. Let's just start off with how crazy. Well, we said it. The beginning sequence of retelling Superman 1.
Yes.
Was short, was concise, but the biggest difference, and you said it was Jor-El.
Yeah.
Jor-El, we saw the resentencing.
Jor-El gave a nice gravitas to the opening.
Yes.
Where Lara was more of just like
the homely, it was the motherly figure, which
was still good.
Yeah. But the sentencing of Zod and Ursa and Non didn't hold a candle to freaking Marlon Brando doing it.
Yeah.
Because they cut Marlon Brando out.
Yeah.
And so it was just the floating heads, and they're like, guilty. And then Jor-El being there just made it more like,
oh, there is someone in the room, and he's looking them in the face going, no, you're guilty.
You're guilty of war crimes or whatever it was. And that right there, within the first 5 minutes of the movie, almost set a tone that was 100% missing from Superman 2, the theatrical cut. And that's crazy to me.
Yeah, there was a lot.
And then going forward, the next new sequence was right after that. We get the title sequence.
Yeah, there was so much.
And then the next new sequence was just Clark in the Daily Planet with Lois talking to Perry.
Yeah. Oh, hold up.
Go. Yeah, please. I'm going to jump all around.
Just to kind of back up a little bit, I actually have a note.
Sure.
Zod actually showed that he was angry as he was being put into the Phantom Zone.
That's very true.
Like, I forgot about that. And then also, like, his anger coming out of the Phantom Zone. Like, when he was screaming about going to the moon and he was upset about everything. Like, that just kind of helped.
Yeah, there was an anger turn. And no,
again, less slapstick.
It was less slapstick. I'm going to be jumping around. I'm not on this one. But the connection from Superman 1 was Superman saving the world from the nuclear bomb, throwing out into space, and that nuclear bomb detonating, hitting the Phantom Zone, releasing the three. Yeah. Which it sounds really dumb when you think about it. Like, damn, that is a great story point to just pull.
But is it that much worse than the terrorists have taken over the Eiffel Tower? And
it was a lot less slapstick.
Yes.
It was a lot less goofy about it. So
yeah.
I don't think it was bad.
Again, it's the same type of story.
Yeah. It just told differently in one.
Yeah.
Objectively better. But it's between that and then we get that of like, oh, this is why Superman 1 existed.
Yeah.
And we're connecting the story to Superman 2 because of his decision that he made to take a nuclear bomb
and push it out into space.
Where
he thought it would be safe.
Caused a ripple effect that he didn't know and caused devastation to the world because of the three in the Phantom Zone.
Yeah.
It's almost like The Last of Us Part 1 and Part 2. I'm just saying.
Jeez. I wasn't going to go that far.
I wasn't
going to go that far. Wow.
I like Last of Us Part 2.
Okay, so we get to the Daily Planet. We're just moving on past that.
That's fine.
We get to the Daily Planet, and Clark and Lois get pulled into Perry's office.
Back up just a little bit, because I jumped ahead on this one. Clark walks in, and Lois is reading a paper.
Yeah.
With Clark on it, and she's just kind of staring at
Superman.
It was Superman. Yeah, it was Superman.
It was Superman.
And just staring at Superman in this paper, and just kind of notices and looks over at Clark because Jimmy started talking to him.
Like, doesn't even see him without his glasses.
Yeah.
And she's just like, wait.
Pulls out a freaking Sharpie. And then just draws Clark with a suit, the glasses, and a hat.
Yeah.
And she and literally, like, there was that, what you said, there was life in her.
Yeah.
There was a reporter.
Well, I mean, it started off with just Perry comes out and is talking to her, and she's just sassy from the get-go.
Yeah. A picture's worth 1,000 words.
Yeah.
Because Jimmy was talking about the pictures, and Lois was like, yeah, a picture's worth 1,000 words. And they helped my words or some shit like that. And I was like, all right, that's pretty good. Your pictures help my words. But then, there's that weird, not even weird, it was just the light bulb moment.
Yeah.
That we all are like, all right, Lois, you're not that dumb.
Yeah.
You're not that dumb. Like, again, the world shouldn't be that dumb, but it is what it is. But I loved that. I love that sequence of just seeing her like, oh shit.
She put the pieces together on her own that there's a good chance that Clark is actually Superman.
And so they go into Perry's office, and Perry's like, hey, I have a new assignment for you.
For the two of you. I need you to pose as newlyweds.
Because the newlyweds are getting ripped off at Niagara Falls.
Yeah.
Which now makes so much more sense why they were there, because it never really was explained in the theatrical cut.
It was, but it was later, and it was an aside.
It was a side? Okay.
Yeah.
I liked that scene a lot better. I thought it was built out better. And then that's when the sassiness of Lois really kicks into high gear, and she just starts like, so... you are, Clark, you are kind of super.
Fly right up there.
We're going to fly over to Niagara Falls. We're going to just fly. And like, she's just dropping so many hints.
Yeah.
And it's so.
She's so sassy.
It's so good that she's like, and then she even says it. She goes, a good reporter should never let anything get past her. Yeah. And I just don't know. I don't know how I did it. I don't know how I let it get past me. And I'm like, there's a humility to that I really, really enjoyed. So I'm going to throw myself out a window because I'm pretty sure you're Superman.
Yeah, still dumb. Still dumb and making crazy choices.
Is it cool that I liked that choice better?
I did. I really did.
Throwing her into the freaking Niagara Falls River or whatever it was.
Yeah.
Jumped off of a freaking building.
Yeah.
Which I don't think those buildings and windows are actually open, right?
Not now.
Not now, but that's why.
Yeah. That's part of why. I mean, they were like 30 stories up, they found out?
Yeah, something like that.
I think they mentioned that later, and I'm just like, that is so high. No wonder he had time to run down and save her.
I'm betting my life on this, and it's
just like, why would you do this?
Saves her, fakes that he's not Superman.
Saves her in a way that is believable.
Yeah, that's not a Superman.
That he's not Superman.
But yeah, exactly. And it was just crazy.
Yeah.
That sequence is there at the beginning, and it made so much more sense.
Yeah.
Because then we know we get the idea that Lois is not a dumbass.
Yeah.
She's not a ditz.
Instead of just, we're going to skip ahead a little bit. At Niagara Falls, he has to take off his glasses because they're fogging over. And she's like, oh, wait, you're Superman.
Oh, you're Superman now. Oh my God, I missed it. No, this was I know you're Superman. Oh shit, you're not Superman. That makes me feel a little more dumb because I almost died because of it.
Threw myself out of a building.
But there's a lot less of that doughy-eyed, I'm in love with Superman. Oh, woe is me. I'm the pretty reporter he loves and all this stuff. There's a lot less of that, which I liked because I think Lois is a very good character to have.
But there was still he is the guy that I want to be with.
Yeah.
And like, that was still there. Like, she still had that, this is the one that I want. I can't just settle for Clark.
Yeah.
When Superman is right there.
But God, it's just, again, I'm going to be saying amazing a lot because the more I reflect on it, the more I'm like, shit, we really got something good here with the Donner cut. Now, if I remember correctly, a lot of the sequences were the same now in this one. Like,
I mean, right after she threw herself out of the Daily Planet, then it goes to Lex and Otis in jail. Which all of those were the same because Gene Hackman did not come back for reshoots.
Yeah. And
so anything with Gene Hackman had already been shot by Donner.
Yeah. And I think there's a couple scenes that were just a little elongated.
Yeah, they were just a little bit longer. They let Otis's humor breathe a little bit more, which I thought was great.
I love that. They let Gene Hackman's humor breathe a little bit more, and I was like, shit, this is amazing. Why are we doing this more?
And just a few more things from Miss Tessmacher too.
Yeah. A lot of that worked really well. And then what was actually very nice was the idea that they didn't use Lex's little black box as the crutch of, well, they used it as the crutch of finding the fortress, but they didn't use it as the crutch of, oh, there's 3 other beings. And that I actually really, I liked that idea.
I also have in my notes that this version set up a better parallel between Zod and Luthor. And
go on with your bad self.
I'm trying to remember all of this, but like also, it was when Lex and Miss Tessmacher are in the Fortress of Solitude, and Jor-El starts talking about Zod, Ursa, and Non.
Yes.
And the way that he's describing Zod really is more of a parallel to Lex.
Yeah.
So like you kind of get that reinforcement of, oh, this is why Lex is instantly drawn to them. He's he sees himself in them, even though
obviously not, but
clearly not.
There's a huge difference between the two, but being the world's greatest mastermind, he wants that power. And because he
wants that recognition
and he sees that Zod probably is going to be angry at Jor-El and in turn can be angry at Kal-El, then it made a lot of sense. The parallels there and just connecting all those dots. Actually, one of my notes is that the henchmen were a little more fleshed out with Lex. And that's where, like, again, Miss Tessmacher and Otis really felt like characters, even though Otis was only in there for 7 minutes, if that. 3 minutes, I don't know. And I was like, wow, I really liked what they did with this character a little bit more. And I don't know why. What was the difference? And
it was just such a recall from the first movie.
Yeah.
And like some of the same gags, but like it's Otis.
It's Otis. And maybe it was just he's
the lovable puppy.
Yeah, that's
Lost
true. Lost puppy. Maybe it was just that scene with him and Lex talking a little bit more. Yeah. There was a little more oomph, not even oomph behind it, but just air and breathing.
Yeah, there was more space to let the characters be there.
We still got the same moon sequence.
Yes.
But so much less slapstick. That's another thing I'm just going to be saying. It was just so much less slapstick. Yeah. Like, because of the tone that was set at the very beginning, I didn't go, oh, this is a comedy.
Yeah.
I was like, okay, we're just watching a very fun action movie.
Yeah.
And that's what worked because Zod, Ursa, and Non really worked because they were much more menacing, in my opinion.
They were. The downside is we also didn't get as much time with them.
Correct. There was a
therefore we didn't really get to know them the same way.
Yeah.
I think that well, we'll get to that. We'll get to my thoughts on that. And then back at Niagara Falls, we still kept the orange juice joke, which I think that was just a leftover from Lester.
Yeah.
I wish that they would have taken that out because it doesn't land this time because we never saw Lois with
the orange juice at the very beginning, and Clark crushing his thumb or whatnot.
Yeah.
So you're right. That scene that could have been taken out, but it was still just.
I mean, it was there. It kind of helped to get him out of
and help with the idea that he does know Lois.
Yeah.
So it kind of freshly squeezed. Like it helped there, but it landed softer than it needed to, or it landed softer because we didn't have the reinforcement from the beginning.
Earlier in the movie.
Yeah.
Yeah. Then we get over into, Clark, Superman saves the little kid. Lois is still just like, wait, I'm still here. Then we go to the newlywed room. The room itself is different. And we found out why.
So this was cool. I didn't know this. Right before we started recording, I was just kind of looking up little stats and whatnot because we both made the comment, why the shit is Chris Reeve the glasses?
Why are Clark's glasses different?
Why are they different? That doesn't he's wearing old woman glasses.
They went from brown glasses to black glasses and like slightly different shapes.
Shit, yeah, and they had they reminded me of the character from Monsters Inc. The Mike Wazowski.
Yeah. Rosalind?
Was that her
Rosalind?
name?
I think.
Just Mike Wazowski. Yeah. Why haven't you done this yet? Yeah. And I was just like, oh, that's weird. Well, we found out it's because Richard Donner didn't get to film that scene. That was a freaking test, like almost a chemistry scene.
Yeah, chemistry test with Margot Kidder and Christopher Reeve. Yeah.
Like it was a screen test, and that's absolutely fascinating to me.
That made it into the final cut of the Donner cut. I mean, granted, they didn't have many choices.
But it's just this one, because they said this movie has scenes that were not completed.
Yeah.
And when I read that, I went into my mind of.
I thought we were going to see storyboards.
That's where I went. I was like, wait.
With maybe some voiceovers.
Yeah.
Maybe.
Because we've gone to movies where. Yeah. Or invited movies where they're not done yet. Yeah. We got screener movies. And we've seen pre-vised movies where they're just blocks of people running over a hill because the zombies are attacking. I think that's how Pride and Prejudice Zombies was.
It was. And I still want to rewatch that movie.
Too, yeah. Kung Fu Panda 3, we saw rough drawings.
Yeah.
Of that. So when I saw that, hey, then letting us know it's going to be a movie where previs or stuff was not filmed for the movie directly. I went to storyboards.
Yeah. I did not think that they would have a test shot.
Yeah. I went to.
Which that was worked a great looking so test well.
Shot. That's the worst part. I was like
they were in costume. They were going.
You literally could have just switched out the glasses and I would not have been able to.
Yeah. And just the banter between them. The fact that it was there that early.
Beautiful.
Fantastic. Lois is there giving Clark pointers about how he needs to stand up straighter and put his shoulders back, really just giving him crap for not carrying himself very well. Then she pulls out a gun. I immediately write down, why does Lois have a gun? And then what did you write in your notes?
She fretting shot him.
And we both put this in all caps. So many exclamation and question marks. And then we kind of stop and look at each other's screens and we just start laughing.
Bitch had a gun.
Yeah.
It was a blank. In Canada. Shot him. It was a blank.
Yeah.
And it's one of those I reading a comment, that one doesn't make sense. He has X-ray vision. He would have been able to tell it was a blank.
But that's if he actually looked.
Which I don't understand why he wouldn't. So I see.
Well, if he thought the gun was lead.
True.
I don't know if they were made of lead at the time.
I don't think they were.
I hope not.
I don't think they were, but I'm not 100% sure.
Yeah.
But I saw that comment. I was like, Yeah, dog, you're right.
That makes sense.
You're right. That doesn't make any sense now with like this whole thing.
But there are so many things about these movies that will never make sense.
All in all, I loved that whole banter of the sequel. To me, that actually made the movie.
I thought that was better than the newlywed scene in
the
theatrical cut where he just trips over a bear head.
Yes.
He trips. And it's just like, I don't think he's ever tripped in his life.
He's freaking Superman.
Like, unless he is trying to show that he's clumsy as Clark, he doesn't trip. Especially not where he knows he's about to hurt himself and he can't show that.
Yeah. So it was that whole, yes, I am Superman. Let's go to my place, which I don't think he actually said, but
not in this version.
They go to the Fortress of Solitude and do all that stuff.
Yeah.
Zod, Ursa, and Non.
Wait, but Superman brings the romance.
Go on. Romance with Superman. But okay, Ursa, Zod, and Non are terrorizing East Houston, which but that sequence was also cut down too.
Yeah,
it wasn't as
that one I was a little sad about.
Were you?
That one, I thought that there were some fun moments, but again, I do understand because that was more slapstick.
Yeah, that was more Lester on that one, because I think they reshot that a little bit as well.
I think so.
It made Zod and them menacing again, but we lost a lot of Non. What we loved about Non in the theatrical cut of being just this puppy that doesn't know his own strength. Now he was just a brawler almost. Like he just was angry, and it really did kind of take away from Non. Made Zod better.
Yeah,
kind of made Ursa better. Like.
Yeah. But like the mysterious enforcer kind of.
And then it unfortunately made Non just the muscle.
Yeah.
And it just didn't really muscle that had elevator boots and just didn't really work. Even though they found out that bitch is 6'6", but they wanted to make him like taller.
Fair.
I was like, all right, cool.
I mean, they succeeded.
They did succeed, and it was fascinating. So they're doing their thing. They hear about the Washington Monument. They're on planet Houston, but they have to go to not the Washington Monument, but to Washington
to see the president.
They destroy the Washington Monument and crap like that.
Yeah, which doesn't make sense. I'm guessing that might have been just they didn't put in the special effects of the laser eyes.
Yeah.
Or something like because the Washington Monument just collapses with no outside force. And it's just like, what?
And then the government had enough time to make barricades in the White House to protect the president,
but didn't take the president to the bunker.
But didn't take the president to the bunker or get him out of the White House. Don't know.
Which, I mean, wouldn't have stopped Zod.
No. So that sequence all happened. All the while, Superman's getting his freak on.
Yes.
And his super form with his super swimmers.
Yes.
And because of in the original or in the theatrical cut, Superman gives up his powers, then they do it.
Yes.
In this one, they do it, then he gives up his powers.
And it's more of because his dad makes him.
Explain.
So in the theatrical cut, he's talking with his mom, and his mom is just like, oh, well, are you sure you want to do this? And he's just like, but I love her, Mom.
I love
her so much.
I have to do it.
And like, it fell kind of flat. We've talked about that one. This time he's talking to his dad, and he comes across as more of a rebellious son.
Yeah.
And I did like that more than the lovesick puppy.
Yeah.
But it's still the issue of, and this is part of what kept it from a 9 for me, is he's still making all of the decisions without like taking a second to think or have a conversation.
Even though Jor-El even told him. Like, straight was like, you're the defender of the people.
But it was also,
you're not one of them.
The other thing that I didn't like about Jor-El here is it seemed like he was daring Kal-El. Like, oh, you don't want to do that.
Oh, that's interesting. I didn't get that at all.
Just kind of the way that interaction went. Like, don't get me wrong. There was fault on both sides.
Sure. Yeah, absolutely.
I'm not trying to say that one was better than the other. I think that both parties should have done better, especially with Jor-El being such a great person on Krypton.
Yeah.
And like, you can tell that he's very much a man who does not hear the word no very much.
Sure.
And so kind of the way that he's talking with his son, he's just like, oh, well, you don't want to do that. That's beneath you. And like,
wow,
it was a little bit classist.
Hey, you know what? This is why we make the podcast. This is why we do this. Because I didn't get that at all.
That's fair.
I got this as the dad going to his son going, almost, no, this is not the path that you were destined to be on.
Yeah.
Like this is not in the sense of you're better than them, but you are their protector. And your decision to do that is selfish when your calling is higher than being a human. And so like, I understand. I understand where you're coming from. I get it. Yeah. I just didn't get that. And I don't know, maybe it's because I'm a firstborn son and whatnot. So this is the fun part about that. But it was one of those, no, like Clark or Kal-El. No, this is almost to the point of, this is really dumb. What are you doing?
Yeah.
You have these fantastical powers that you're here to help humanity and do the damn thing. Yeah. And you're giving it all up. And I'm saying this very harshly, and I don't mean it for a girl.
Yeah. I know what it was.
What's that?
It was the guilt trip of it all.
It was very guilt trippy. Yes.
Oh my goodness.
Not going to fight you on that one. It was 100% guilt trippy.
Like, Jor-El is supposed to be this higher experienced being, and he's just laying the guilt on.
There was not
so thick.
There was no measured concept to this. It wasn't a, all right, son, sit down with like my son.
It wasn't like, oh, let's like have a conversation about this, or like, maybe think about it before you make this Like, I did not think the way that the conversation went down.
Okay.
To me, it seemed like Kal-El had to make a decision right then and there, whether he was going to give up his powers and be with Lois, which he is still feeling good about all that. So this is a bad time to be making that decision. Explosion. So like, either he gives up everything. Yes, I heard you. Either he gives up everything to be with Lois all the time and feel like this, or he gives her up, never gets to feel like this again, and has to save humanity.
Yeah.
And I'm just like, could there be like, maybe go think about this? Like, go to your room and make some decisions?
And this is the lens of 2025.
And the way that he was doing it, it seemed like he was daring Kal-El to say no.
And I think this is where, again, the fun part about this, going back and looking at these old movies, is, that's probably how a dad would have actually done it.
Yeah.
Though actually, it is what a dad would have done. Yeah. Now here in 2025, we'd be like, all right, hold up, dog. Pump the brakes.
Some parents would.
You and I would go, hold up.
Are you sure you want to do this?
Let's talk this out. Let's not make any emotional rash decisions right now.
Yeah.
One, because you're almost a god. So let's really, like, you are the protector of the world. So really think about, like, I don't know, you get your ass beat without these powers. How are you going to feel about that?
Yeah.
Because you're not the Man of Steel. You're not strong. You don't have speed.
What are you going to do when there is something that is here to threaten the Earth?
Yeah. What are you going to do where there's something here to threaten Lois?
Yeah.
You're Superman. And your number one objective kind of is, you are the savior of the world.
Yeah.
You are the hope that you're supposed to give to the people.
Yeah.
And you're giving that up for a girl, which love is love. I'm not saying anything against that.
Yeah.
But there are consequences to your actions and decisions.
Yeah.
And that was never talked about.
No.
And I think that's where it falls flat. Like
I feel like he needed an Uncle Ben to like talk about great power and great responsibility. You know,
we all need an Uncle Ben.
There was nothing about that. He needed an Uncle Ben in there.
Okay, and this is where like I get pissed off at the Superman movies when you don't have Jonathan.
That's fair.
That's
a good way to look at it.
Jonathan is what grounds Clark, Kal-El in humanity.
Yeah.
And Jonathan would be the one going,
you know what? Let's talk about this.
Let's talk about this. Hold up.
I understand you're in love with her.
And I get it.
But let's look at these two paths.
Yeah.
Like there was in either version of the film, there was never okay, let's actually come up with some hypotheticals and talk about.
You can't fly.
I have a problem.
Okay.
Apparently I have a problem because I'm just like, let's talk about our feelings.
All right. So, your name is Clark. Let us talk about the feelings. Oh, you are a god. Okay.
Yeah.
Well,
so
you want to give up the powers.
So Clark makes one of the worst decisions of his life. For one of the best reasons.
For one of the best reasons, yes. Let's also preface one of the best reasons.
And then we go into one of my least favorite parts of either film.
What's that?
The diner.
The diner scene.
Oh my God, I hate the diner.
There, but it's so dumb.
Again, it's another one that's just manly pride and hubris, and I have a hard time relating to it.
Yeah.
And it makes me upset.
Yeah. Trust me, as a guy and who has done a lot of learning and growing, I'm not letting my manly hubris, all this shit take over. It's weird. I'm not going to write it's weird. But again, lens of 2025 versus 1980.
Yeah.
I get why it's there. You need a reason for Clark to get his ass beat.
Yes. But it also seems weird to me that this guy who has had these superpowers for so long gets upset because his girl is being picked on. And that's when he wants to pick a fight.
Fair.
It seems very outside of Clark and Kal-El's character.
And I think that's because there's okay. This is great. Here's probably why. Because the scene with them as in Clark, Superman and Lois talking when they're drinking champagne and she's having that confusing, like, I don't know who you are. Are you Clark? Or are you Kal or Superman? And he's like, well, technically I'm kind of both.
Yeah.
And so it was that idea. Both, but. And this idea of now that he doesn't have his powers, he's technically just Clark now. But he still has to protect Lois.
Yeah.
And so there's still those things that Superman does that Clark doesn't. And so now he's molding the two together and not really registering that dog. He can't because I don't know how 6'4" Chris Reeve get ass beat, but he does. And
and I understand. It's also low enough stakes that the world is not at stake just yet.
Yeah, he doesn't know anything that's going on for another 5 minutes. And then,
like, I understand those bits of it, but it still seems like a break in character, and I don't like it for that.
Okay, that's fair. I follow your logic. I mean, it is weird, but just kind of like, okay, I see where you're coming from, and let me see if I can kind of put it in this perspective of the dude's version or my mind or anything like that. Okay. So then for some odd reason, again, just Clark just goes, I wish I made a horrible mistake. I should have done this. And I'm like, we could have told you that 5 minutes ago if you just stopped and thought about it. But hey, whatever. So for some odd reason, everyone splits off.
He walks back to the Fortress of Solitude.
We're back at that. Lois drives away.
We guess.
Lex meets the three.
Yes, in the Oval Office.
In the Oval Office, gets Australia and tells them that he needs to go. They need to go find Lois Lane, pretty much. I'm going to deliver Superman to you, and he delivers Lois Lane. The next news sequence is Clark talking, or Kal-El talking to Jor-El.
Yeah,
and it's this whole Marlon
Jor-El
Brando
is still the ultimate guilt tripper.
Yeah,
I even really have that in my notes.
He really kind of is. Like, and it was very weird. The idea of like, I have this power left in me,
Have a little bit of power.
And I'm going to change. You made the horrible mistake.
You made this terrible mistake, but I can undo it.
Because I'm
But
daddy.
only this once.
And then
I can save you, but you will never speak to me again. And it's like, what? Dude.
I do want to, and God, I hope I don't butcher the saying, and it's a beautiful saying, is the son becomes the father and the father becomes the son. And that one always breaks me. And I'm like, that's such a great saying. And like, it's that idea of like, dad will always do anything for his son. And seeing that is like, that's really cool. Like, you made the ultimate mistake and I can fix this mistake.
Yeah.
So it becomes Superman again.
Yes.
He fights everyone in
New York / Metropolis.
We do all that.
There are some landmarks that aren't there anymore.
That fight sequence was cut so much better.
Yes. The action was better.
Action was better.
Again, they cut the scene where they needed to so that it didn't look like there were bodies going out a window.
I love that.
The fight between Superman and Zod was better, and it seemed more intentional on Superman's side.
It did. There was punches actually thrown.
Yeah.
Which I loved, but it didn't seem like Superman just chickened out.
Like, there was a little bit of chickening out.
Sure.
But it did seem a little more tactical than the theatrical cut.
Yes. And so that fight seems great. Did all that stuff. Gets everyone back to the Fortress of Solitude because Lex knows that where it's at.
Yeah.
And so they go back there, and the fact that they cut that whole sequence down to the final bit, and Superman's not throwing his weird S, and he has magical Nightcrawler powers teleporting all over the place.
I was so happy that they only had one telekinetic scene.
Yes, where Zod grabbed the shotgun.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was it. Like, Richard Donner was really like, what are we doing? Almost like, so yeah, they cut it down to where these powers were the powers of the Kryptonians.
Yeah.
Which I absolutely loved. And then it's just the same idea of like switching the powers, or they made Zod and everyone human and all that stuff.
Then they bring in the big finale. Which was always supposed to be at the end of the second movie.
Oh my God.
But when Donner left, they took that finale and put it in the first one.
So rewinding
Superman
time.
rewinds time.
Flew back in time. That was the original ending of Superman 1.
Yeah.
Or Superman 2.
That's what was supposed to happen. That was the part that I remembered from watching it before.
Mm-hmm.
Because I remember reading an article or listening to commentary or something and finding out that was supposed to be the ending, because it was so confusing to me, because I was just like, why would you have the same ending for both movies?
That makes a lot. Yeah.
And so I remember I had to look it up.
Uh-huh.
Because Superman was one of my favorite movies growing up.
Yeah, absolutely.
And I was just like, okay, I need to find out. Yes.
With all
the magic powers. And I remember reading something that was just like, oh no, he actually this was supposed to always be the ending for the second movie. They couldn't figure out what to do with the first movie. So it was almost a relief when they could use the time reversal in the first one.
Which this one worked out better, in my opinion.
Yeah.
Because you don't kiss Lois and she magically forgets everything.
God.
Like, we just rewind time.
The magic poison ivy lips or something.
And like Zod and everyone's still alive.
But in the Phantom Zone.
In the Phantom Zone, like, so people can't bitch that Superman killed a person.
Yeah.
Even though they will in Man of Steel.
Yes.
But I liked this idea so much better because it made a lot more sense.
Yeah. Still messes up a few things in Man of Steel, but
yeah, or Superman Returns.
Superman Returns. Yeah, I always get my movies mixed up.
Love we're doing a movie podcast.
Yeah,
and like
I'll learn.
It messed up a couple of things. The big thing it messed up was then Clark goes and beats the shit out of the guy that beat the shit out of him.
Yeah, that one also. That one no longer makes sense. Like, the guy wouldn't recognize him.
Exactly. So we didn't really have to do that one, but I guess we did it anyway. And then we end the movie.
Yeah.
And everything is back to normal. Lois doesn't know Clark is Superman. Superman is still Superman, which I guess in theory, if he rewound time, then the fortress would still be there.
Yeah.
Like, everything he did
Yeah, the whole movie got negated.
Yeah, like
at the end.
We literally Dallased it.
That was the nice thing about having the time reversal in the first movie is it didn't undo the entire movie, just like the last, 5 minutes.
Yeah, but this time reversal actually almost undid the whole movie.
Oh, no, almost. It did.
Yeah, that's true. I didn't think about that until right now. Holy shit. All right, Rose.
What's up?
It is popcorn and kernel time.
Sounds good.
Tell me about all of these again. Let the people know.
Okay, so this is our take on the rose, bud, and thorn thing. So for us, the pop is a positive highlight, possibly lives rent-free in your head. It's the idea or theme that came to full fruition and you love it. The corn, it's that opportunity for improvement. It's that corn that never actually became a popcorn. It's something that could have been done better, a character or storyline you wish had been explained or developed more. It's the bit that never popped, but it had the potential to.
Okay.
And then the kernel, it's something negative or disappointed you. It's that little bit that gets stuck in your teeth and you just have to try and work it free and somehow get on with your day.
Okay. What's your kernel?
My kernel was the fight at the end in the diner.
Just didn't like it?
Yeah, it didn't need to be in this version. It didn't make sense in this version.
It didn't. You're 100% correct.
What's your kernel?
I wish I could take that one because that's a smarter one. I'm gonna just shoot my shot. It's the theatrical cut of Superman 2.
That's fair. I did consider that.
I'm like, no.
I did consider that.
I'm sorry, everyone. I don't give a damn.
Yeah.
This is a better movie all in all. And so the kernel is that we actually have that opportunity to see what we could have had.
Yeah.
And we have it now, which is great. But seeing that theatrical cut versus the Donner cut, I'm like, man, that's going to get stuck in the teeth now all the time.
What's your corn? What's that bit that you wish had popped?
So there was a scene in the, it wasn't even a scene. It was just a quick thing that happened during the fight sequence in Metropolis. Mm-hmm. And it was kind of the sonic boom of Superman. When he's flying, you hear it and you see things like the wind and it taking it. And I want more of that because I want the flying to look better. I always want the flying to look better. Like, yes, I believe Superman can fly. And that was one of the times that I'm like, that was a very cool idea of not showing him, but you hear him. Yeah. And then the gust of that sonic boom that follows. Yeah. That was just so freaking cool. And I'm like, man, I want more cool flying in. Again, I understand it's 1978, 1979. And so it can't really happen, but it's just that.
They did that at the very beginning as well when he was going to save Lois.
Okay. I guess
he runs through the Daily Planet and all the paper just explodes.
That's true. They did do that one. I liked that one, but there was just something very cool about the sonic boom of flying that I was like, damn, that's freaking cool.
That's fair.
Give me your corn.
Okay. My biggest argument for the theatrical cut.
Oh, Jesus Christ. Oh, yep. Okay.
Non.
I
missed the extra scenes with Non. He was my favorite in the theatrical version, but he was absolutely forgettable in this one.
Very fair.
It's kind of the same thing as why I like the original Sailor Moon, which has 200 episodes, versus Sailor Moon Crystal, which has the same story in like 30 episodes or something ridiculous.
30 episodes?
It's something ridiculous like that. It might be less.
Okay. I've only watched season 1 of Crystal, so.
Okay. And yeah.
I think there was only like 12 episodes.
Yeah. So it's like 36, I think, and then a couple movies.
Okay.
There is a lot of extra in the original. It doesn't have to be there, but it is kind of fun to get the extra time with the characters and kind of get to know them and have a different relationship with them. So like Non and Ursa, I think, are the ones that suffered the most. Mm-hmm. Not necessarily a bad way, but
for you,
I think that they could have been developed better even without taking it into slapstick.
Okay. Yeah, fair. Very fair.
So that's all.
Is it my turn or your turn? I don't remember. You go with the pop. Finish up.
The pop, my favorite thing. The editing. the editing in this version.
God, also, why do we do this? Why do we do this?
Also, having Marlon Brando, even though he laid the guilt on thick with 2 C's. You can see, I put 2 C's.
She did put 2 C's. I can confirm, everyone.
What's yours?
I did the pacing and the overall feel, which would be the editing. The editing changed it from a slapstick comedy to a comic movie or an action movie.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, that's where I was like, damn, this is great. And yes, Marlon Brando did bring a gravitas that that was sorely missing from
like
the first movie.
I will sit here and I will complain about him, but that has more to do with the writing itself and not so much to do with him.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, ladies and gentlemen and beasts, we did it. This has been your Superman 2, the Richard Donner cut with a side of popcorn podcast. That's a mouthful. We're never going to do that again. So here's what we're going to do. Next time, we are going to be doing Superman 3. God help us all on that one.
God.
It's going to be a great time.
They go downhill from here.
They go downhill real fast. So I hope you look forward to that one. We will be back in a couple weeks.
Yes.
Yeah, I'll just say it that way. With Superman 3. Thank you so much. If you want to go above and beyond, go ahead and get that YouTube's membership. That way you can watch the watch-alongs with us. All sorts of other fun things. 24-hour Let's Plays early. And then, I don't know what I'm saying.
You get the Let's Plays 24 hours earlier.
I do a lot of Yoda talk. I'll be honest with everyone. And then next week, you're going to get Now to Play, where Finn and I are going to be taking on Cerulean City. Yes. Misty's Gym. Misty's Gym is Cerulean City.
There we go.
Yes.
Hopefully so.
Peter Cerulean. All right. That's what it is. You guys are the absolute best. Thank you so much for hanging out with us. Thank you so much for watching movies with us. Like I said, we'll see you next time with Superman 3 with a side of popcorn. Bye!
Bye!